We're born in the moonlight. Ain't no fair to say. Can't breathe in the sunlight.
Hello Aromas, this is Aromie here, and welcome back to Gilded Shadows. I actually looked back on the Ichigo website, and it's actually only Caleb, Ariel, and Jack that is actually in the Ichigo page. Oh, here's the profiles. I'm so stupid. I'm so literal stupid. I'm so stupid. Okay, anyway. Ariel Vaughn, 36, 24 Earth years. Okay. A knight. Okay, I got that vibe. Faction Endgame. Stoic, calm, and chivalrous, Ari is known for also being somewhat impassive and difficult to read. He keeps his feelings to himself and rarely expresses strong emotions. Oh, okay, so you're already sounding like the guy I would go for. He is known for being absurdly honest and straightforward most of the time and doesn't seem to have much experience dealing with other people. More of a listener than a talker. It is sometimes difficult to know what is going on behind his usually serious expression. He has been a part of Endgame since his very early childhood, having been taken in by them at a far earlier age than most of the organization's other members. Rumor has it that his unusually strong abilities caused difficulties for his parents, causing them to be unable to raise him on their own. So, did somebody else raise him? Who knows? Kaiza Fianchetto? Fianchetto? That's not Cheeto, right? That's not two E's. Age 33 or 22 in Earth years. He's a king. Holy fuck. Okay. Staying away from you. Faction Crimson. Kaiza initially comes across as cold, serious, and even somewhat cruel. Wait, these guys are all sounding up my alley. As the son of Crimson's leader, he is unable to show any signs of weaknesses, whether in the form of soft emotion or lack of conviction. Some believe him to be as brutally ruthless as his father, Kiers? I cannot pronounce names worth anything. While other allies of the cutthroat group see him as a weaker and more inferior heir to the family than his brother Deimos would have been. It keeps his opinions and plans close, and not many people know what he's thinking or how he feels about various goings on within the organization. Rumor has it that Kaizo, whose relationship with his father is well known to be rocky, is planning to take over Crimson. Oh. Okay. There are some that suggest he has a veritable army of espers just waiting for the right moment to make their move. Okay, Hubert. I'm kidding. Caleb, 37 and a half. 25 years. Or 25 years old for us, I guess. He's a rook. Endgame. Caleb is a very serious, intense individual that often comes across as brusque, or even outright rude. Even so, he is very serious about his work and will willingly throw himself into harm's way to protect others, particularly those precious few he calls friends. Oh, you're so sweet! Caleb arrived to Endgame around the age of 8 years old, which is fairly typical for many of the stronger espers in the group. He had a difficult time adapting to his new environment, but eventually settled in after being introduced to the man who would later become his mentor. Having been at the organization for a long time, Caleb has seen some of the worst Altair has to offer. He's lost many friends along the way, and it's possible his outwardly thorny demeanor is just a way to keep others distant, so he doesn't have to care about more people he may one day lose. Oh, Caleb. Oh, Caleb. Caleb needs a hug. Jack Visser? 37 and a half, 25 years old. He's also a rook. Are they anything? No, okay. He's in Crimson faction. Oh my god, wait. What if these guys are like Crimson, Endgame, Crimson, Endgame? None. Okay, you're an ally. Alright, so it seems like... What if the Crimson faction is trying to take me before the Endgame faction? Or you can just choose neither and go for Lance. Jack is a smooth-talking and outgoing flirt who is not afraid to be upfront about what and who he wants. He has a defined mischievous streak and enjoys finding ways to provoke reactions from the people around him. He has a known tendency to be both impulsive and reckless, traits that have gotten him into trouble on more than one occasion. Jack was raised by his sister on the streets of Delphine's worst slums. The two were taken to Endgame when Jack was around 8 years old. At 18, Jack left the organization, now orphaned, bitter and determined to never go back. He currently works as a part of Crimson and is one of Kaiser Fianchetto's closest allies and friends. I assume so. So he was raised by his sister. What happened to his sister? Where'd she go? Magnus Ulrich, 42 or 28 years old. I really appreciate this game because all the characters are much older and it's not your basic, oh, everyone, main character is 15, everyone around her is like 16, 17, 18, 15, 14. You know, it's great. It's refreshing because I'm not around that age gap anymore, group. I can't relate. Alright, forgetful, friendly, and more than a little absent-minded, Magnus is the public face of Endgame. Are you shitting me? You're the public face of Endgame, but you're very forgetful, absent-minded. The friendly part's fine. Okay. Hi, Corbin. And the de facto head of the extensive force at Espers. Magnus is generally well liked, but it's no secret that many agents also consider him a bit of a dolt. Endgame's advisory council, the true leaders of the group, view him as a little more than a figurehead. So is he just like the face of it, but he actually doesn't run anything? Like he's just a pretty face, so people will listen? Magnus was born into Endgame as both his parents were already members. When it was discovered he possessed the abilities of a king-ranked Esper. Oh, I gotta avoid you too. He immediately began to be groomed to take on a leadership position. Oh, his hair is cute. Or is that a little clasp to hold his hair in? That is cute. Wow, royalty. As Endgame's leader, he's seen and lost many important things. He seems to cope with the stress well, but sometimes he reveals a darker, more ruthless side to his personality that causes those close to him to worry for his future in the group. See? 21 years old? Optimistic and energetic most of the time. She is an inquisitive girl who is genuinely curious about the world around her. She does not initially cope well with things not going as planned, and can either stubbornly insist on doing things her way or else adapt to the situation and try to go with the flow. Due to New Albion's focus on allowing one's personal accomplishments to heavily influence the opportunities before them, she has spent her time studying and striving to achieve her dreams. She has lived a somewhat sheltered and privileged life in one of the wealthiest cities on the planet, but is not unaware of or lacking compassion toward the problems going on elsewhere on the planet within the planetary system. And now Lance, 40 to 42, we don't know what age he is, 27, 28 Earth years, rank unknown, faction none. Okay, a gentle, somewhat naive-seeming man who occasionally struggles to remember what it means to be human. He generally comes across as unassuming and compassionate, but has an odd sort of wisdom and insight that shines through at times. There's a sort of sadness in him as well, as he's seen many terrible things in his short life. Wait, you're saying his short life? But he's older than the other members? Even so, he maintains, well, technically he's still young, so even so, he maintains a positive outlook and generally loves other people. He lives alone in the twilight wastes, tending to the plants in his greenhouse. His only other human contact is with the caravanners, who occasionally stop by his small settlement to trade and share news with him. I would say new items. Even so, he seemed to be aware of much what's happening on the rest of the planet, despite his otherwise solitary existence. Okay. Alright. I'm just gonna choose at random. And like just choose a different like route. No, it just doesn't go. It doesn't matter. I need to go home. What if we tell him I need to go home? Why not? I need to get home. I can't exactly hide in the alley forever, even if you're standing sentry for me. Which, by the way, I don't think you can do that forever either. Though I suppose I appreciate the sentiment. His scowl softened to a somewhat less annoyed look. It was kind of nice to know he had at least two moods, irritated and slightly less so. I don't think it's wise to step back out in the open. The man from the fountain ran before the authorities could catch him. I suppose that's not shocking, considering he's an Esper, no. if that's true, the safety department will have trouble catching him on their own. Though it wasn't like we had a reason to believe he was actually dangerous. He had hurt me to scare the life out of me. Another reason for you to stay out of sight. He fixated on you straight away, even though you were at the back of the crowd. I shiver at the memory of those strange eyes staring right at me like they could see through me. Don't remind me, if the sculpture hadn't fallen when it did, that certainly was convenient. I shifted uncomfortably, dropping my gaze to the ground. Convenient, yes. Destruction of public property was not something I wanted on my record. Everyone believed it was a convenient abstinence. That was definitely better for me. It was also terrifying. Thank you again, by the way. I completely froze up when I saw that thing falling toward me. I didn't catch your name. It's Caleb. Caleb Singh. Is he more nicer in this route? You should be able to get back to your house by sticking to these back alleys, correct? I think so. Why? He was silent a moment, frowning as he stared out at the fountain and whatever was happening there. Maybe I should walk with you, at least part of the way. Oh shit! This is a sweeter route. I don't think I need an escort. I trotted off my scout again, but I guess it would be nice to have one. I didn't really know Caleb either, but at the very least, he'd save me from having my head cracked open by a glass sculpture. His presence would probably somewhat mitigate the paranoia of being attacked from the shadows by a raving maniac, though I didn't know what sort of help Caleb would be if I was attacked by another Esper. I have nothing better to do right now, so lead the way. Okay, I guess I'm killing your time. So if he had something better to do, he would offer to help. Instead of questioning that, I nodded and started cautiously toward the other end of the alley, checking furtively for anyone else lurking nearby before I turned toward home. Caleb didn't walk at my side at first, just a few steps behind me. A quiet but constant presence that somehow reassured me a little simply by the virtue of being there. Still, I was a bit curious about him when, with him behind me, there wasn't much opportunity for conversation. The fact that he chose to walk there instead of next to me indicated that he wasn't interested in talking, but I slowed my step until we were side by side anyway. I was thinking, that man, some of the things he said were ludicrous. I'm not going to deny that. I was a little intrigued because he was quoting an old Earth playwright at one point. Caleb's brow furrowed as he looked my way. I hadn't expected him to recognize the quote, so I wasn't surprised. I pray thee, sing again. Mine ear is much enamored of thee note. I don't remember the play, but I'm pretty sure it's a quote from Shakespeare. An Earth playwright. That must be pretty ancient history. I've taken a lot of history courses over the years. What about you? Are you still... What do you think? Don't look at me like that. Like it was a dumb question. A lot of people your age are still studying. My age. I mean, I merely assume you're a lot older than me since you act like my dad. Ooh. He scowled again, and I couldn't quite keep myself from laughing a little at the sour look on his face. Bickering with him helped ease the tension out of my shoulders. I sighed softly. Now that we were nearly back to my apartment, I was laminating how I'd completely freaked out in front of so many people. I hoped recordings of that didn't make it to the news. That would be embarrassing, to say the least. And my mom would probably freak the fuck out. It did occur to me at some point that I should be wary of leading a strange man back to where I live, but building security was tight enough I didn't think it was going to be a problem. We were a few doors down. I stopped and turned to Caleb, tipping my head toward the door. This is me. Caleb nodded curtly. Thanks for walking me all the way instead of halfway. Thank you again. I know I keep saying it, but I gave him a helpless smile. It doesn't get me back the quiet dinner I was hoping for, but I truly do appreciate your help today. Don't worry about it, just get inside. And if I were you, I'd stay there the rest of the night. I think I'll do that. He turned away and walked back to the way we'd come without saying anything else. I watched him for a few moments as he retreated. He was very abrupt and kind of cranky, but kind enough to walk me home. This is my cup of guy. Definitely a strange man. I sighed and headed up to my flat, wondering where I'd order takeout from. So much for rest and relaxation. Comment on it. Keep the observation about his accent to yourself. Okay. I decided to keep that observation to myself. There was absolutely nothing wrong with someone from Delphine being a Sicilus, but with all the attention these days, I knew there were some people that could be a little weird about it. Even if I actually wanted to travel there myself, even though I would have loved to have a conversation with him about Delphine, I didn't want to make him feel self-conscious or awkward either. The accent was faint anyway, so I could be mistaken. Anyway, I should probably be getting home. After that little display, I definitely lost all motivation to be in public. Is that where you were headed before you got roped into that crowd? Dinner, actually, but I think I may just get takeout. Not really feeling the whole social engagement thing at the moment. Want an escort home then? I glanced back at the opening of an alley. I had no idea if they caught that man, but it wasn't like I was really worried he might come after me, and I didn't know Jack either. I mean, it's my apartment, I can get back alone. I didn't expect that you might get lost, Butterfly, though I've known some people who are pretty bad with directions. I was more worried about your safety. It's Sisless, though. We're just like any other city, sometimes safe, sometimes not. I'm not going to force you, it was just an offer. Weren't you heading somewhere else too? Nowhere important. I chewed my lip uncertainly. I didn't want him to go out of his way, but company would be kind of nice. I am that way. Okay. I'm just making sure that everyone actually walks me home, and then we'll just wrap up the whole demo now. I indicated the general direction of my flat. Even better, that's the direction I was heading anyway. Are you sure you don't mind? Are you sure you're just lying? Jack laughed and took my arm. Whoa! Steering me in the direction I pointed. You always get worried this much about imposing on people. Don't get me wrong, it's cute, but it must be different. It must be pretty exhausting. Not always. It's just that I'm not into the in the habit of having strangers walk me home. I assume you're also not in the habit of being yelled at by fountain-dwelling Shakespeare reciting weirdos. Oh, you recognize that quote? Jack gave me an appreciative look. I'm more surprised you did. Ancient Earth literature isn't exactly most people's forte. Well, I've taken a lot of history courses, and I like learning about Earth. I love history. I think that was my favorite subject. Earth, third planet of a rather ordinary yellow star. I shook a finger at the air, mimicking one of my professors as I spoke. The planet that birthed our people and sheltered our kind for millions of years. The mother world of us all, now millions of light years away, but forever engraved into our genetic code history. Jack laughed at my little performance. The tension from the previous incident began to drain away as we walked together. They really teach it that way. Some of them do, but I actually do find it pretty fascinating. I mean, it's a part of our history. It's nice to learn about it. What about you? Why do you recognize Shakespeare? Also studying history? Jack smirked and shook his head. Do I look like a student to you? I didn't want to assume. So, like, don't look like a student? Do you want to look like a student? I shrugged. He didn't, to be totally honest. He had the air of someone who had already been out in the world experiencing things, not locked away, desperately burying their head in a book so they could try to achieve the next tier or pass the next exam. I just know some dork who's always got a book glued to his face when he's not otherwise occupied. Somehow he managed to trick me into reading here and there. Sounds like a good friend, though I worry a little if you actually have to be tricked into reading. It's a fairly basic skill, you know. Oh, I don't mind reading, I just have other skills I prefer to focus on. Anyway, so your friend likes to read. Jack seemed highly amused that I ignored yet another obvious attempt to flirt. I'm more interested in your friend. Yeah, he's a pretty good guy, though I think a lot of people might disagree. Interpersonal relationships aren't really built on the opinions of other people. If he's a good guy to you, that's all that matters. Learned that in one of your classes too. I lifted my chin, giving him a look of mock offense. Learned it on my own, thank you very much. He just laughed again. It was kind of nice having interaction that had nothing to do with classes or studying, and that wasn't just a family member. It felt like it had been a while. We walked quietly for a while, and soon the building was a little ways away, so I stopped and gave Jack a grateful smile. Thank you for walking me back, I appreciate it. No problem, I was coming this way anyhow. Already said so. So, goodbye then? Looks like it. Well, maybe I'll see you around again sometime. I hope so. Goodbyes were awkward usually, but Jack didn't drag things out. He grinned and turned around, heading back the way we'd come. Hey, I thought you said I thought you just said you were walking this way anyhow. Oh, here's his art. It's cute. I lied. Obviously. He smirked before striding away without giving me the chance to respond. I watched him for a moment before I finally went back to my flat. What a strange evening. And now I still needed to figure out dinner. Wonderful. That was cute. That's why we couldn't see his art, because I chose wrongly. Chose very wrongly. For sure, I believe Caleb and Ari are probably going to be my most fave. I don't want to say fave because somebody else could fucking steal my heart at any second once the game's released. But I'm very interested in Caleb and Ari. I don't know who I'm going to try to go for first when the game gets released. But now that we've gotten all the CG arts of the guys that we can potentially get, you should definitely tell me who you guys would go after. Mine would be Caleb or Ari, mostly Caleb, and then Ari. Just because they seem like my kind of guy that I would go for in visual novels. Everybody else we don't know much of, so can't really tell if I can go for them. But for sure, Caleb and Ari. But now, definitely for sure, this is where I'll see you guys in the future of this game whenever it gets completely released or if there's an updated demo. So thank you guys for watching, stay beautiful, and I'll see you guys sometime soon in the future.
touch it, touch it.